Oh,
What's up, everybody? It's Epic Tales in the building, and today I'm with Britton, some Okie dude, one of the homies. I've been on his channel several times. Well, twice, not several times, but
I was about to say
every
a couple times. Yeah.
a couple times, and each time it has been so much fun. He has an uncanny ability to build rapport with whoever he's doing an interview with, and his interviews are so much fun. He interviews a lot of booktubers, and yeah, it's just like a nice conduit to learn more about other booktubers and also hear about his interests, which are kind of similar to mine in terms of books and like comics and just storytelling in general. So without further ado, you can introduce yourself.
Hello. Yeah, I'm Britton. I'm also called Samoki Dude on YouTube, Twitter. I'm on Goodreads and Letterboxd as well, where I write reviews that are probably more coherent than the one you're hearing right now, as I like to say. But yeah, I tend to be hard on myself. But yeah, I run a YouTube channel. It's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. Always been a pleasure. Like this at some point had to happen. So the fact
Yeah,
that
you
it's
texted
happening
me
now.
on Discord. You were like, "Yo, we should do something." I'm like, "Yeah." You're like, "Want to do something at the end of the year?" I'm like, "Okay." And
Yeah, I'm glad like before like 2023 ends, we're able to come together and do something. So first of all, like congratulations. How does it feel having 200 subscribers? When you woke up in the morning, was the sun like warmer? Like were the birds
yeah, I know. I
singing?
walked over. I was like, "Yes, finally!" Because it was on like 198 for a while, and I'm like, "God, come on!" It
Yeah,
was good. It felt good.
you deserve all 200 and a lot more. Like you're so consistent when you're releasing your videos, and like your videos are very entertaining to watch because you always like invite other perspectives, and you've had like so many booktubers, both big and small, come on your channel, and the conversations are always very engaging.
Well, thank you. Yeah, yeah, I'm trying to get myself out there in a way, but also I like talking to people. So there's that. And yeah, we actually did a discussion with Dan from Black and Blue Collar Reader. Um,
Yeah, and,
we
and
did
that
Beyond Redemption. That
Beyond
was a lot of
Redemption.
fun, and
Have you?
like nobody liked that video. I was like, man, I was. I mean, I had a good time, but it was just like, damn, I was
you
really
know
proud of that episode.
so like a couple things, like the first thing is that like YouTube is just like up and down with all of that stuff.
Yeah,
You never quite know how people are going to receive it. And Beyond Redemption is popular in the indie circles, but that's not like very mainstream. It's not very like wildly popular. So it's understandable that it did. But that was a really really good discussion. Like
oh yeah, I had a
have
good
you
time.
have you come around to reading like Mirror's Truth?
Not yet. Maybe next year I'll get around to reading it, but there's a bunch of other stuff I'm hoping to read, so that might be hard. But I'll do my best to get around to it. It's definitely on the list
Oh,
because I
it's
really liked Beyond Redemption a lot.
yeah, but it's like so for me, if I read like a book and I enjoy it, with before moving on to other books, I just read like book two, book three, book four. I read as many books as I can in the series, and then when I'm done with the story, I know how it concludes. Then I spend some time to like digest everything before I even pick up another story. But yeah,
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. It seemed kind of like when I read Beyond Redemption, it kind of wrapped itself up. Not, I mean, it did give the breadcrumbs for more, but um, definitely oh, what am I looking for? It definitely wrapped itself up nicely, I thought.
yeah.
And
Yeah, but then with the way it ended with like Morgan and like what they call it, like bedecked, and you serve those who die at the afterlife. I feel like immediately after I read that one, I was like, oh, I have to know what happens next. I have to know what happens next. But yeah, like as soon as you read that, we should do a discussion again about it, whether it's on my channel, Dan's channel, or your channel. Like I feel like it's due to
yeah,
happen because
definitely, I'll have to pick it up. It's yeah, I remember I was talking with some friends about it, and they they were like, "Yo, what happened to the cover here? Like the cover quality kind of went down because the cover of Beyond Redemption No, there's nothing wrong with the other covers of the other books. It's just kind of more, I don't know.
Yeah, but
Oh,
it looks
Michael R. Fletcher doesn't watch this.
it looks like I believe I manifest that Michael Fletcher watches my channel, so let's just assume that everything we say he's going to hear it and he's going to have very strong opinions about it. Maybe strong enough that he comes on the channel and he gives us his thoughts on it. But yeah, like I feel like with the book, without giving away too much, I feel like there's an evolution in book two that is not necessarily something I liked or hated, but like I would like to have some more people to discuss it with it about. So if when you get around to it, I would really love to have that discussion.
Yeah.
As to my knowledge, there are two other books that we've read together that we've read together. The First Law. You've read the whole trilogy, right, of the First Law?
Yeah, I haven't read like Age of Madness or anything like that yet.
No,
I've
no, no,
just
no,
read the
not the
original.
not the
I've,
the original three.
I've
Yeah.
read the original 3 and I read the first standalone.
Okay, okay. I haven't read the first standalone, but the original three I've read, and and of course Blood Meridian as well. Blood Meridian is the other
Mhm.
book we've read together. Okay, so it's like what in general, and I've already watched your book review, but like, what was your general thoughts on the First Law?
Well, um, it it was funny because people like there's those like really popular books on BookTube that you'll see like First Law, Wheel of Time to another extent, uh Gentlemen Bastards. I'm like, Game of Thrones, and I was kind of like, maybe one day I'll try First Law, and I bought it at my local bookstore, and I was like, I like the cover I got. Let me get it. So I quite liked how it looked. So
Yeah.
yeah, and then so I so well, I bought it and I just laid it and I was gonna read it at some point, and then finally one day I just was like, why not? I don't have anything else. It was one of those rare times where I just decided to pick up a book and just read it without really planning on it. And what can I say? I was sucked in. He's Joe
So
Abercrombie. He's very good.
so altogether, you say that it met your expectations with the booktube hype around it.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think it. I mean, I've heard some rumors that um, First Law kept me in a I was invested the whole way through for sure. Yeah.
So first of all, Bardom Books, thank you so much for being here. And yeah, like we both really enjoyed the First Law as well. Who was your favorite character in the First Law?
I'm a little basic, but I really enjoyed Glockta a lot.
Yeah,
'Cause,
everyone loves Galacta.
yeah, followed very closely by Logan Nine Fingers, but also I like barbarian characters, so that.
Like, if I'm being more specific, I love the Bloody Ride.
Yeah, no, yeah, no. I
He,
think
his POV like gave me goosebumps all the time because it's like the way I don't know how Joe Abercrombie does it, but the way he describes such a violent state of mind and how like he takes out his actions, like it was just so thrilling for me, to experience.
yeah, it's like another personality in other ways.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
interesting because it's like when you meet Logan, he almost seems like this kind of goofy, kind of out of touch dad in some ways.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
he becomes the Bloody Nine. You're like, oh no, I can see, and you'll see exactly why he's so feared in the North.
yeah. And he's always like talked about himself as being sorry, as being like so dangerous and everything. And it's until you experience, then you're like, okay, yeah, he's a good fighter, and yeah, I guess he's dangerous, but like you never quite get it until the first time the Bloody Knight comes out. Then you're just like, what the hell is that? Like, and every time like he got to a point where like the transformation started, like my heart just started like racing because I was like, oh, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming.
Yeah,
And
no, I mean, I think my favorite Bloody Nine part is when in the Blade itself they're in the city and he like hulks out and just starts, killing people.
Yeah, for
It,
me
like,
it was Beneath the Ruins chapter book 2.
oh yeah, when he's like running around and yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, when he's like he goes to the forge where like the Shankers are like making their weapons, and he's with Pharaoh, and like she's behind him, and like he fights that monster where it's like I've memorized parts of that chapter just because of how epic it is. And then he jumps in the air, he's screaming, and it was reverberating around the walls around him, and like he comes down with the sword, and the monster raises his sword to block it, but then he like splits through the weapon and like just like slices through his guts and everything. But yeah, without spoiling too much, like yeah, that was my favorite bloody night moment.
Yeah, I enjoyed the first law a lot.
Yeah.
I've been taking a break from Joe Abercrombie though, because I mean, and as I was going through Best Served Cold, I was starting to get kind of burnt out. So I'm like, all right, I'll stay
Yeah.
away. I
Like
still enjoy his work though.
after I read the first three books, because so after I read the first law, like I just immediately went to book 2, and then I went to book 3, and then like I was like, okay, I need a break from this for a while, and then I haven't quite gone back to him, but yeah, he's always like in mind to read. I heard like the next couple of books are interesting. I've watched like positive reviews, I've watched negative reviews, but yeah, I'm still excited. Like I enjoyed his initial stuff so much that like I'll check it out again.
Yeah, I mean, a
So
lot of people have compared him to George R. R. Martin, and I can see why. He definitely has that same kind of grittiness of like Game of Thrones, but I think there's more like Robert E. Howard in there. It's definitely a sword and sorcery feel to it.
yeah, yeah, like his magic is more there's more magic like this. George R. R. Martin has a way of making everything like grounded, very
Hmm.
very grounded. You can almost like smell the earth in his books, with Jarvis Corbin, there's more of a fantasy feel to it. It's not like high fantasy where like everything is magical, but the magical elements to it, while they're not like over the top, like you can still like feel it affecting the world like at all times. But yeah, like yeah. So something else about you, you're also a writer, like
Yes.
and I read the first. I know, like you posted it on the Discord, and I read like the first couple chapters of like your stuff, and I found it quite interesting. Do you mind like talking about it a little bit?
Oh well, I've only completed. I completed a fantasy novel a few months ago. I think in August, if I remember right.
Yeah,
Um, and I yeah, definitely is. It's called The Plague of Nightmares, which it was originally called something like The Raven Comes, but then I'm like, that's a stupid ass name, so I got rid of that and I went with The Plague of Nightmares because I had read a book and I'm like, and I saw that title or not the title, but it was in the book and I'm like, I like how that sounds, so I just kind of yeah, it
yeah.
worked out.
And what is it
Um,
about?
um, it is about basically it's the first of a series about a man called Koba. He's kind of like what we would call a private investigator nowadays. Um, he gets into a scrap with some people he shouldn't have, and he's in jail at the beginning of the story. So there is a kind of group. They're kind of like warrior Puritans. They're called the Judges, and one of them offers him his freedom in exchange for figuring out what's going on in this town that he's living in. Or not living in, but there's this town that's been going through a lot of weird stuff, so he has to go in, figure out what's going on. So yeah, it's kind of the hook.
Yeah, like I so as when I read it initially, you were asking for like feedback and everything, and when I got there, I saw so much feedback. I didn't know where to like,
I know, yeah. I was like,
I didn't know how to interject, but the premise. of what I was reading was very, very interesting. And yeah, like I would really like to, give it a read sometime and maybe like do a book review as well. Have you officially published it? Like, are you working on that? Like, what's the story of that?
Well, I'm still editing it right now because really that first I showed off was the first draft. So that's kind of why I was like, look, this is probably going to be rough. If you want to, poke fun at it, feel free. But it's just tell me whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know when I'm gonna publish it, but I've been kind of debating with myself on if I should like try and go the trad route or if I should self-publish because self-publish seems to be kind of blowing up, or at least on our side of the internet it is.
Yeah. So I would say something.
I mean, it's a very niche book. I don't know if like Orbit. I don't know if Orbit takes anything under like 200. I don't think Orbit takes anything that's under like 500 pages. To be honest with you.
So just in general, I would say like give both like a shot. Like put it out there for traditional publishing, and if it doesn't, give yourself like a timeline. If it doesn't get picked up by this time, just self-publish it.
Yeah,
You know.
that's kind of what I was thinking of doing because I talked with a couple people and it's like there's pros and cons with I've noticed with trad publishing and self publishing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah. Well, like I just feel like with trad publishing, you don't have as much control with when it comes to like editing, marketing. You don't like they just like kind of take over, and the percentages they take off you are like a lot more. Like if you're successful if you can build yourself up to like as a self-published author, and you have so much control over like what you because sometimes you submit your stuff to a traditional published thing, and then they look at it, they like it, but by the time they edit it so much, it doesn't feel like your book anymore. Like it feels like you're reading
yeah, I've
something
heard
else.
that.
So it's like if that works for you, but then it's kind of also more like a more guaranteed kind of like success route. So it's
Mhm.
like there are trade-offs, and you have to determine what works for you. Like I'm thinking like I publish my book next year as well.
Oh, congratulations!
Well, I wouldn't congratulate myself yet. I have a long way to go.
Oh,
But I have like I have a long way to go. Like I'm almost done with the first draft, but like I still have to
oh,
like
okay.
edit. I still have to because um
I was about to say that's where I'm at. I'm still editing the thing. And I'm also
yeah.
working on other projects. So.
So like my workflow is I'm just getting the story out, just like throwing it up on the pages, and then the
Mm,
writing sucks. Like I'm not really thinking too much about the writing, just get the story out, and then that's like the first draft, and then I'm going to like go every a chapter by chapter and almost rewrite it. But this time, because I know what I'm about to write, I can evolve like the story, but at the same time write it in like proper writing, and then I'm going to do another one where I like work on the prose, and I'm going to like several layers of editing before I put it out there.
mm-hmm.
I initially used to, um, you know, I wanted it edited like chapter by chapter on my Discord, and then I got some really really tough like pills to swallow. So I got some really harsh criticism, and I was like, you know what, maybe I should finish writing this, work on it, and then so that by the time I release it, like there's no, if you have questions, you think there are things I should address in the story, like it's a full thing, so you have like the full picture. Because sometimes I got like critiques that I'm like, well, if you read two chapters more, like that is explained. You know what I mean? So it's
Mm-hmm.
just like I need to like finish it and before I put it out there for like the world to criticize.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Yeah,
get you.
yeah. Yeah.
I tend to struggle with patience, so like I've yeah.
What are some of the writers that inspired you and that inspired this book of yours?
Well, I mean I grew up with I grew up with stuff like Star Wars and a bunch of other things, DC Comics and whatnot. I mean, one of the things that inspired me when I was writing this was my enjoyment of comic book characters like Batman and the Punisher. I enjoy those characters a lot. I thought, like, hey, why don't we do something like that in fantasy setting? Though, I was really with this novel I wrote. I was kind of throwing back to more pulpier fantasy of like Robert E. Howard and Michael Moorcock, and
Ooh.
not really Fritz Leiber, because Fritz Leiber is more like fun and whimsical. Though I do like Leiber. I think he's good, but I also liked the design of like Bloodborne a lot, even though I suck at that game. So that was an inspiration. Um, Though, if you mean like, did you mean like authors who inspired the book, or just authors
Yeah,
who
yeah,
like
but like
inspired me?
you're basically answering the question. So would you say like your main character Koba is kind of like a combination of the Batman and the Punisher?
Kind of, yeah. Also, I would say Solomon Kane, but
Oh,
the judge characters are more Solomon Kane because they're actual Puritans. I
okay.
I had read the. It actually started. Actually, this book actually started as a like Solomon Kane like fan project, and then I was like, I'll just have my own characters in there, and it worked out because I mean, if you read like the Solomon Kane stories, like I do like them a lot, and they're definitely fun for what they are. But like Solomon Kane isn't really like a character; he's just kind of this lone wanderer. There's a lot you don't know about him. I
Yeah, that mysterious like that mysterious persona is a big part of his characterization.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, I don't, because this book has more humanizing stuff. I'm like, I don't know if that would work if like with Solomon Kane. So I just kind of, yeah, I basically just smattered a bunch of things I liked together. That's where we came in from. But yes, he is like Batman. It does that's my character has the same obsessiveness, kind of.
Yeah.
Also when I read the first law, Logan Nine Fingers, because I'll admit I probably ripped off Joe Abercrombie a little bit because Koba also has this weird thing where he just hulks out. It's not the Bloody Nine, but it's pretty close.
Yeah, I'm actually like eager to see what that looks like. So does he have like a kind of like a berserker thing going on? Is it like a complete personality change, or is it just like an alter, like an altered state of mind, but like it's still the same person?
I try to keep that vague. Like with this book, it's kind of it. I remember I was talking with some people, and it's like sometimes the first books have the hardest tasks to have to introduce everything. So I will say from what I do have planned, it will be explained. But I wanted to leave breadcrumbs for people to be interested, so that they would come
Nice,
back. Be like,
nice.
oh, what's this?
So like you did ask me initially, and we did like a collab video on
Mhm.
like what my favorite book this year was. So
Yes.
I've returned it back to you. What was your favorite book this year and why?
Let me actually pull it out real quick. My favorite book I read this year was probably The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. I really enjoyed this book a lot.
I have heard so much about that book, and let me tell you what I've heard about it. You tell me if it's accurate. So, first of all, the first thing I heard about it that I liked about it, they were like, "This is a good follow-up book to reading the First Law." I heard like the relationship between the characters are really really good,
Oh yeah.
and it's a heist kind of like situation, right? As well.
Yes. I would say the second book is more of a heist. The first book is more um, it's like a crime epic. It's like a um, yeah. That's about right. I would say that's different from. It's not as gritty as the first Law. It's more like um Do you ever read like the Count of Monte Cristo or
Yeah, of course.
anything like that? It's kind of like that. It's very much a throwback to like adventure books like the Three Musketeers and
So is it like
um
a is it a revenge story?
it is it does become a revenge story. Yes.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Now that there are some people, I will say there are flashbacks, and it kind of cuts back and forth between the flashbacks and the present day. But I think both of them are really well done. So yeah, I really enjoyed the Lies of Lockmore a lot.
Yeah. What was your favorite aspect of the book itself?
Oh man, I love the prose for one.
Oh.
He Scott Lynch can describe things, and you just feel really nice after you. Makes you want to like go eat. Not that well. Um, Another one. It's also just really satisfying. It's just like the characters they go through the shit and then like they get beaten down but they come right back and you're just like it's just that dopamine, man. I'm telling you, a hell of a drug.
Yeah,
But I
usually
love
when you're reading Grimdark, you don't always like get that satisfaction. Like it's always teased and then like you never quite get it. But when you do get it, it's like, oh, it feels really good, you know. But yeah, like that sounds really interesting. It's been on my TBR like forever. But
I mean, I if I mean, I won't harass you too much, but I would recommend The Lies of Luckmore. It is a very my friend Jason's like, really, that was your favorite book? I'm like, yeah, it was. I felt deeply satisfied when reading it. You know.
oh yeah, I mean, if you like the first law, you like Beyond Redemption, you love Blood Meridian, like I'm likely to listen to your opinions,
Yeah,
care
I know.
about your opinions a little bit more than like general opinions,
Yeah, I'm a
about it.
twisted, sick bastard.
Trust me, man. That all of us here on Epic Tales are. Um, yeah, like this year, it's not wasn't my greatest reading year, but like the books I read, like I read some really really good books, like including 11 Cycle, which is the one I mentioned on your video.
Hmm.
And it's funny, initially you mentioned was it Bloodborne, which is like kind of Dark Souls, like
Yeah, I
um
mean, I'm not like a fan of those games. Like
oh.
or well, let me let me let me back that up. I don't I don't like hate them, but I'm not like I just don't have the patience to play them. But the design of those games are just incredible.
So I will say something like the learning curve for the game is very steep, but like if you reach a certain level of like proficiency, yeah, like a certain level of competence in like when it comes to like the gameplay and everything, you can just focus on like the story and like how things play out and the lore. Those games are like seriously epic.
Hmm.
Like I recently like I went a long way in I've never finished any of them, but I just keep playing until I'm tired of playing. The furthest I went in any of them was Elden Ring, and in Elden Ring I really really enjoyed that one. That one was like so epic. The lore, and I think it was written by the story, and the lore was written by George R. R. Martin anyway. But like the lore, the gameplay, like the characters, the monsters, every part of it was just like so epic. The design, like it just like it's just so good, so good.
Yeah, no, they're yeah, no, it's um yeah, no, I mean, I don't really I mean, really, the design of Bloodborne was a inspiration for me because I really liked how it looked. It's very like gothic and dark.
Yeah,
I'm like, ooh, I like that.
yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
if I captured it but I did the best I could.
Well, like it definitely has like a gritty feel to it for sure.
Oh
It
yeah, it's
definitely has a gritty feel to it. Like I found that out like during the first couple chapters, like from like the flashbacks and like just like the kind of tone I felt like you were trying to like put out there.
well, that's good. I'm glad glad because like I was trying to like I wasn't trying to be too like grim dark. I did want it to feel kind of fantastical. There is kind of like a fun to it, but um, I didn't want it to be a nice world that they lived in.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like absurd worlds. So it's like after I got so much criticism on my book initially, like one of the criticisms I got was like, "Oh, you have to dial it back. It's a bit too much. Like some of the themes you're talking about, a bit too dark, and all of that." And I was like, "Yeah, maybe I need to like go back and like like replan like how I'm going to do it, and like maybe rethink some parts of the story as well." And then I read Beyond Redemption, and I was like, "No way! Like Beyond, I want all the smoke. I want all of this in my book. Like if my
All
book
the
can feel
smoke.
like Beyond Redemption, then like yeah, I've done something right. I don't. It's like I mean, like after all, it's like something I heard Michael Fletcher say in one of his interviews is like, after all, it's your story. Like it has to feel like yours. Like once you put it
Mhm.
out into the world, it kind of no longer belongs to you. But while you have control over it, like you want to enjoy the process, right? So it's like I'm going to, of course, have my ideal reader in mind when I'm writing it, but at the same time, I'm going to also have like I'm not going to hold back when I'm like creating my world and creating my characters and all of that stuff. But yeah,
Yeah, yours is Yeah, I saw you had like a uh like on Wattpad, or are you not working on that anymore?
well, like and initially the plan was to like release a couple chapters on Wattpad and like kind of like like do the first draft on Wattpad and kind of like get like a feel for it, and then with all the ideas I get from people like dropping their input and everything, I would like kind of make a whole story. But then yeah, I kind of abandoned that when I realized that like I'm not going to be given the chance to tell the story the way I want to tell it in any capacity if I'm getting like criticism like as I'm doing it, because it will ultimately change the original idea that I have.
Yeah, I get what you mean. It's I mean, I definitely wasn't going to. I mean, I used Wattpad for a little bit, but yeah, stuff I wrote on there was not very good. So yeah, it was.
It's like I read stuff that I wrote last year and I cringe so hard.
Yeah, I know what you
I'm
mean.
just like, how did
Oh,
that come out from my mind? Like, I thought that line was so cool last year. You watch this dude, what's his face? This dude. He used to be like, he's a booktuber, but like he's kind of blown now. He has like hundreds of thousands of views and he does skits.
the
Uh,
Daniel Green
Not Daniel Green. He
man
used to
carrying thing.
man carry things. Oh my god, so hilarious. He does like a
Oh yeah.
video. He does like a video where he was like, "Oh, the book that I wrote in high school." Like
Oh God.
I died because like I could completely really when I read like old stuff that I wrote, it sounds exactly like that. And like it's like the intention, I can almost like see the intention with what I was trying to convey then and how lame it is coming off like right now to my, so it's just like, and the point about it is just like once you've reached that point where you can look at stuff you wrote and you think it's cringe, then you're above that level. Your mind, like you will never write like that bad. Like you can be guaranteed, you can know to yourself that okay, the stuff you write today, it might not be as good, like as good as you want it to be, but like it's not as bad as that. Like you're past that level,
Yeah, I
so
mean, I've noticed, because when I wrote A Plague of Nightmares, I'm like, okay, I know at least that I'm better. I think I can write it better than I probably did back in the day. Because back in the day, oh Lord, I don't want to talk about it right now. But yeah, then I had a friend of mine who edited it, and he was just like, "Here's all this stuff," and I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, there's still much to learn." And now
yeah,
I'm on this other project I'm working on, and I find myself more careful about the words I choose.
yeah, yeah. It's all evolution. It's all evolution.
Pretty much, yep. it's it's I enjoy um yeah, it's fun with the process. Oh,
Yeah.
Liam's in the chat, I see.
Oh, Liam, wow, like I'm honored. Glad to have you here.
Talking about we were talking about Fritz Lieber earlier, so yeah.
Well, like I would love to see. I would love to judge that for myself. You know, every writer thinks that he says everything I write is cringe. Every writer thinks their work is cringe. You know, but who knows? You know, when you put it out there, it might actually be something. And yeah, I would actually love to read your work. You know, if I ever have the opportunity to. But yeah, like I feel like being a writer is so interesting. You never quite know where you are, like especially if you haven't published something yet, and you haven't gotten it like reviewed by other people. You don't quite know where you are. But I feel like it's important to have like people around you that will be honest with you about your writing. I do have a few people here and there, but like I still haven't like put out any like body of work to give them to hear their opinions about. But I'm getting there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely remember when I was writing, and I I caught. Have you? Has this ever happened to you? You can feel yourself kind of. You can you can feel yourself kind of taking from the authors you like. Like you're not necessarily. Oh, Mark's here.
Mark is here. Like, so by the way, like Mark recently
I probably
released like a
wouldn't.
new video on his channel. It's been a long time. We've all been waiting for him. So first of all, I'm so glad he's here. But like check out his new video. It's so cool.
Yeah, I
And
probably wouldn't have read Beyond Redemption if it wasn't for him, as well as you, Epic. You were definitely the one who kind of pushed me over the edge, but
no,
um,
it's like
Mark was the
it's
one who really got me first interested.
no, Mark is he's the reason I'm a booktuber. He's the reason I read Beyond Redemption. Like he pushed me to read The Prince of Nothing. Like, Mark is Mark, and I'm glad you're here and everything. He says writing is a rough road to travel. I can look back on stuff I've written, and it feels like I was trying to win. And yes, I know. I I know it's just like yeah, it's like initially my old writing I could see I used to use adverbs all the time. He gracefully jumped, and like everything, just like adjectives all over the place. But
Yeah,
yeah.
no, oh gosh, my friend who edited my book, God bless the man, but he would mark down every time I'd say like sigh, because like I didn't really I when I wrote this book, I kind of imagined these characters are, tired, often exasperated. This is one of those worlds where, people just, shoot or, stab each other for like no reason. And they're kind of like those seen it all type of people.
Yeah.
And then he pointed out just how many sighs were in the first draft. I'm like, okay, maybe there's a problem. I didn't really think of it like that, but okay.
Says, are you sure you weren't reading Lovecraft?
Oh yeah, he did love his adjectives.
Yeah. But something is that like, so it's like and let me know what you think about it. Something I hate when I'm watching like book reviews, like it pisses me off so much when I'm reading book reviews. But it's like if I'm reading a book review on a book on a grimdark or like a dark fantasy book, and the book reviewer says, well, like there was a lot of meaningless violence, and I didn't see how the violence was driving the plot forward. And I'm just like, it's like reading a romantic novel and saying, well, the characters were making out too much, or or reading a horror book and
Yeah, I
saying,
get what you're.
it's like the reason why we love grimdark is because we like to see how meaninglessness like interacts with meaning, like how basically like how consciousness is contending with existence. This is why we love grimdark. But it's like you cannot
Mhm.
criticize for something for what it intends itself to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's I mean, with Grimdark, yeah, I mean, I tend to, it doesn't really bother me so much. I mean, it's not really that I mean, yeah, of course, violence can be over the top at points, but I think that's kind of part of the thing.
No, I feel like execution is very important, and
Yeah, I mean,
maybe
like Beyond Redemption, I don't think there's like,
I,
you know,
I was
I,
literally about to say Beyond Redemption, because it's like it's built into the world where it makes sense for stuff like that to happen,
Hmm.
and it's the way it plays out itself. I feel like there's a way to execute stuff like that, and if it's not for you in general, it's not for you.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, I agree. It's one of the things I liked about Beyond Redemption, and I think maybe I brought it up in our conversation. And also, I should mention before I go on this tangent. Also, it was Dan who also convinced me to read it because his review is fucking hilarious, and I love it. I still love his review. He's very hard on himself, but I do love Dan's stuff.
Very entertaining
Um,
channel.
um, but I kind of liked I actually became acquainted with Michael R. Fletcher while I was reading Beyond Redemption, which I know I probably earned your envy. Uh, Epic, very alliterative. Anyway, um, I was like, it kind of reminded me of like Moorcock a little bit. Definitely like Elric. This kind of weird. It's dark, but there's also like this weird vibe to it. And I asked him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, Moorcock's like Moorcock's like one of my influences." So I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. It feels Elric-y for sure,
Yeah,
except even
I,
darker and not as angsty.
I feel like Elric is like it's like those works are like are the progenitor of like what we know as dark fantasy today. I feel like while Tolkien was doing his thing, like Moorcock was doing his own separate thing on a separate line. Like
Oh yeah,
now,
he's very good when he puts his
yeah,
foot into it.
yeah,
So I will be honest, like it is really tough, like finding a lot of his stuff because he's written so much, like he's still alive. He's written so much, and
yeah.
also it's really hard to find his stuff, from time to time. But
Yeah, I got like the I don't have it with me right now, but I got like a new edition of like the Elric of the Nobody stories, like
mhm.
for everything. Like it's a like a collection of all the stories, like in the proper sequence. So it's
Mhm.
like I haven't really gone because when I read it like a while back, like I read it random, like read it with random sequence. But now I'd like to like actually go through it like as the story progresses and like in the right timeline and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely had that Moorcock feel, which was kind of this weird, dark. It's more bleak than Moorcock because like Moorcock, like he'll have some fun with it. Like it's not as dark. It's a little more like Elric's like this Byronic, moody.
Yeah,
So he has that sword.
Michael Fletcher goes into like very detailed descriptions on everything.
Yeah.
It's like if there's something in the environment happening that is gross and disgusting and just like he's going to like describe it in detail. And even if he's not putting it in detail, he'll put enough information that would make you imagine it in the most disgusting and worst way possible. So it's like Michael Fletcher is a little bit more, I don't want to say necessarily direct, but he's a little bit more
Oh shit.
like
Sorry
is
about that.
it's all good. It's a little bit more explicit in how he describes like his world or like the actions that his character takes, and like just the ideas, like the way the magic system works, like with Koenig. Oh my god, like with how he has like different aspects of himself. And I've heard so
Yeah,
much about book three, and I haven't read it yet, but I would love to read. I can't wait to read it.
I think it's yeah. I was kind of reminded of like China Mieville's work because like Fletcher really it's very visceral. Like he makes you feel it. Like he doesn't just say, "Oh, but," or how do you say his name? Bedecked. He didn't just have like a head cold. Like he describes what it's like, and you're just like,
Yeah, he
ah.
describes the color of the snot and how it's changing as the book progresses, and he describes everything.
And then Morgan like heals him.
Yeah, yeah.
But again, I don't want to spoil anything.
And yeah, that ended up well. I don't want to spoil anything either, but like, yeah, we should have like when you read book two, book three, we should have like a full discussion about it. Like, because I have like so many thoughts. I have so many thoughts about it.
I definitely will pick up. I will definitely pick it up.
Well,
Also, thank you, Liam.
thank you for showing up, and yeah, like you're always invited to come back again, and yeah, have a wonderful time at work and a great weekend.
Yeah, it's but yeah, no, Liam said earlier, he said Grimdark has even more of a necessity of violence than sword and sorcery. So I
Yeah,
thought that's a, yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, it's called Grim Dark, so
yeah, yeah. Like it is what it is. Like you have expectations coming into it, and part of those expectations is violence, like depravity, like a nihilistic setting, something that makes you question everything. It's definitely meant to, like, mess with your mind a little bit. So it is what it is. But yeah, I know you were mentioning earlier to me in the live stream yesterday, or you mentioned it, that you're kind of doing like a video where you talk about like some of the plans you have on for 2024. Do you mind sharing a little bit, or at least teasing on this live stream?
sure, I will do some teasing. Um, yeah, there's just a lot of, to be honest, like that's gonna be kind of a tough video because like I'm gonna be discussing books I want to read and also other things I want to do because there's like projects I want to do on my channel, like just experimentation with other things. Like
Yeah.
for instance, I would really, I was really interested in doing like you've done character analysis on your channel. I'm like, maybe I'll try and do something like that. It's probably not going to be as well edited as Epic's is, but I'll give it a shot because
Well, it's not I feel like it's not necessarily like me. I edit like that because like I'm just like a little bit obsessive, and yeah, like, but like it's usually about like the content, like what you're talking about, and if like people can relate to it. um yeah, like I would really be interested in watching that. Something I love about your channel is that you always have like content for people like who love your channel, and it's something I need to work on. I think you've already released more videos than I have, and I've been doing this for like 3 years.
yeah, I'm a routine guy, so I try to set like days that I'll make videos, and then I kept to it. And yeah, now I
Yeah.
get there's more, and now I'll admit there is a little bit of that where it's just laziness, where because I don't mind editing, but I don't like doing it too much. No, I did do it for the I call it the secret project, but it's really just I got a bunch of YouTubers together to talk about their favorite books. I'm gonna put it up next Wednesday. Uh, Epic is in it, so yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like who else is in it?
Um, Carlos and Yolanda from StoryTube were in it. Dan is in it. Colin, my friend Colin from Colin's Corner.
Yeah, I know
Um,
Colin's great YouTube channel.
um, my friend John from Talking Story. Um, his was really good. I really liked what he did,
Oh,
and
nice. I'm excited for it.
yeah, no, yeah, no, I won't spoil everyone, but yeah, those are a couple people who came on. I can list off, and
um, Videos like that tend to do good because like when you tag other booktubers, they are more likely to like talk about it, and then
well,
get
yeah,
their
and,
own
and also
viewers.
I'd seen like other YouTubers do it. I'm like, you know what, I kind of want to do that. That sounds fun. So I basically just talked to a bunch of YouTubers that I'm acquainted with and was like, hey, do you want to do this? And I'll admit, not all of them did. There were a couple who had some stuff come up, but yeah, yeah, it was a great time though. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. It's just like having, like, I've done stuff like that before where I don't know if you've seen it, like my favorite booktubers, although I'm contemplating removing the video because but I did something where like I made it seem like these booktubers had like superpowers, and like like it was a fun video that I made back in the day. But yeah, like I'm contemplating taking it down because like this guy, I don't know if you heard about like Fit to Be Read.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
You
he
know,
was he was
you
a
know what?
part of it.
I have a weird little thing. Like I had friended him on my Discord, like a couple days before what happened, and I like we didn't like hit it off or anything. I just sent him a message like, "Hey, saw you on because I'm a fan of SFF 180, and they were friends for a while." And I was like, "Hey, I'm a fan." He's like, "Whatever." Then I learned he got arrested for that stuff that I won't talk about here. But
Yeah.
yeah,
It's for me
that was
it was
that was a
very, very
horrible stalk.
upsetting because like I used to talk to him like I had times where like like I wasn't releasing videos, like I was dealing with life, and he would always like send me encouraging stuff like, yo, what are you doing, we miss you on booktube, like very nice stuff. So I always thought of him in a very positive light. But and when his channel was doing well, I was very happy for him. And but then when like the news came out and everything, like I don't even, I'm just like, just so like it's the first time I'm having to deal with something like that. And I was just like, damn, and I saw a lot of other booktubers were taking their videos down, the ones that they had done with him. And I was like, should I do that? Like, but then the video is like no one watches it anymore. So I'm like, should I just leave it? Because I I worked really hard on it, and like there are other booktubers there that could get like some shine if like but I don't know, man. It's just like it's just
Yeah,
like a whole messed up
it's always a
situation.
difficult situation when
Yeah.
something like that happens. And I remember I talked with a friend, and he told me about, because there are writers I enjoy who've done things that are not good. Not that, but
That is
nothing as
something
extreme.
like there's stuff like
Nothing as
that.
extreme as that, but
Yeah, like yeah,
but they've had some troubling things come out. I have a talent for angsting about things. So, and he's like,
yeah.
it's not a, people can do really positive and can have both positive and negative effects on the world.
So for me, it's like if like, so the stuff he's accused of, like we're talking about fit to be read for anyone who just joined, the stuff he's accused of, like that like it presents itself to be pretty black and white. Like that is like I don't want like that's too much. But like with some of the stuff with other writers where like they get canceled for having like different opinions, like if there's an opinion about it that can stand on its own as a justification for having the opinion. If it's an opinion that is just unpopular, like I don't really care. I'm not going to stop reading a writer because like someone doesn't like how they view their politics, or they have an opinion about something. But if it's something that black and white, like with fit to be read, I'm just like, nah. Because with the
No, yeah,
writers
no,
there's a
I
yeah.
don't blame you. I mean, I definitely, I wasn't subscribed to his channel, but after I learned that, I'm like, well, probably won't be subscribing to his channel.
Yeah.
I don't blame anyone who would go like, I'm not going to associate with this guy anymore, and I don't blame you at all. Like that, what he did is awful and unforgivable in a lot of ways. Maybe not a lot of ways, but
I just feel
probably
like,
just unforgivable is fine. But
yeah, I just hope that his victims get like justice, like that's it.
yeah, that's all I had to say about that. I'm like, I just was like, I hope justice is served in that situation. Because
Yeah. So it's like, are you reading anything right now?
well, I'm kind of on the Christmas reads trend, so I'm reading Mr. Timothy by Louis Bayard right now, which is kind of a sequel of sorts to A Christmas Carol. So I'm hoping to end that before the year comes to an end.
Sorry, you said the Christmas what?
A Christmas Carol, the old, yeah. it's about Tiny Tim as an adult, and
Okay.
he's
Okay.
solving a mystery which has to do with child trafficking. So
Oh,
lighthearted
okay.
stuff. No,
You say child trafficking, lighthearted stuff.
no, no. Being very facetious.
Yeah.
No,
But like,
but
yeah.
it's. And I read a book from Bayard earlier called The Pale Blue Eye, which was about Edgar Allan Poe, who was my favorite short story writer. So I really enjoyed that as well. So
Poe
it's
is
pretty good.
such a crazy writer. Like I love his stuff. I love his stuff.
Yeah, I know. He's it's so he's one of those writers where he can make stories that are so bizarre that they almost feel fantastical, even though they're not. They're very much set in the real world.
Yeah, his ability to capture tone and like create like a theme and like an idea within like short stories. Like sometimes I read his stuff and it's like the amount of it makes me feel the same way as if I read like a full novel, just in terms of
Oh yeah.
like the depth and the like the weight of what I'm reading. You know, like it really like challenges the mind and challenges your imagination as well. Such a great writer.
I mean, yeah, he I mean, I wouldn't call him as wordy as Lovecraft, but I wouldn't call him the easiest read in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like in the Fall of House of Usher, one of his the first sentences when he looks at the house, he basically, in other words, he's basically saying that it's probably the worst thing he's seen. Or how does he describe it? He was like, seeing it felt like coming down from an opium hangover. Pretty much is what he's. Except he says it, because that's just how they wrote back then.
Yeah, you mentioned prose like a couple of times in this discussion. How do you like your prose? Would you do you prefer like the Faulkner route of like elaborating and like several like multiple commas and like the flow of like a Blood Meridian kind of thing, or do you prefer like a Hemingway kind of like using calculated words and like keeping it short, but then like that short description carries more weight? Like, do you prefer like the elaborate, or do you prefer like the efficient? Or although like I cannot say the elaborate thing is not efficient, and I can say the efficient is not elaborate, but like you know what I mean.
I get what you mean. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny you mentioned that. I actually did a discussion about this exact subject with a friend of mine about like prose, like how's that work? Um, to be honest, I don't know. Like I like prose when. Let me think about this for a moment. I like prose that makes you feel like you're there in a place.
Okay.
So, I like
So
now it doesn't matter if it's, efficient or if it's kind of flowy. If a book can do that, I think that's what makes it good prose.
so sometimes, right, and I'll give my experience with Blood Meridian and I'll also give my experience with the Black Company. So when I was reading Blood Meridian, there were parts of the book, right, where I was like, I was just like, I had goosebumps on my skin. I'm just like, what the hell did this guy just describe? Like, I think the first encounter with the Indians,
Mm,
like it was the prose there was so poetic. It felt like I was reading like an epic, like it just felt
hmm.
so grand, and I was just like, wow, what the hell? But then there were other times when like he's elaborating on aspects of the book that I didn't really care about, and then I found it like, what, like can this just end? I didn't care too much about it. But like the parts where like I really, so that elaborate prose, like depending on what he's talking about, depending on what the subject is, I love it. I don't like
Yeah,
it when it's about stuff that I don't care about. But you see, that element in itself is very subjective. So I'm
I know.
just like,
Yeah,
it's like, okay, like what I like, somebody else might not like. But
yeah.
then,
That's the thing. Like people are different, So
yeah,
it's
but
kind of
then,
hard to talk about all that.
the thing with someone like Glenn Cook, who is more like Hemingway-esque, he would say a few words, right? But then the way the word association he uses, the way he uses metaphors, it's like your imagination explodes. It's like I really feel like when I'm reading Glenn Cook's work, I feel like I am creating the world with him. He's giving
Mm,
me just the right amount of tools to create the world and imagine it for myself in a way that works for me. So it's like I also enjoy that. So it's like I cannot say which I like more, but there are elements to both that cannot be denied.
yeah, no, I know what you mean. I have a hard time kind of being like, well, I mean, I don't want to say I like this more because I've read books where I thought I wouldn't like the prose style and it ended up kind of vibing with me. So, like Blood Meridian, for instance. To be honest, like yeah, I don't know if I read that book correctly when I read it the first time, but I was entranced, and
Hmm.
if I think that's what good prose should do. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Blood
and
Meridian is like it's one of the best written books I've ever read, for sure.
yeah, it also yeah, no, I've done yeah, it's one of those books you could just discuss for a long time, and um,
I think I had a discussion with AJP and Dan on Blood Meridian, and like
yeah, I saw that. That was
an
really good.
hour and 30 minutes into it, where like we didn't even. It almost felt like we just touched the surface. So like we hadn't even like gotten that deep into it. I'm working on like a video where like we talk about the character analysis video on the judge. Oof, I can't wait for that one to come out. But
Yeah, that should be
yeah,
fun.
it's like so sick. It's so like, and it's AJP doing it as well. I do my character analysis with AJP.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
saw you did. I saw you did Berserk, which I actually I went on a earlier this year. I actually went on a binge of Berserk, and
and how far
um,
did you reach?
I am at the part because I had stopped reading it. I got to the part where they go up against that really creepy, like bald um bishop or whatever the hell he
Oh,
is,
okay, okay, okay.
who
So
kind of
you've
reminds me of Judge Holden a little bit.
yeah, 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 kind of like you. So you've gotten past the eclipse, and you're like
Oh man, let me tell you, man. A lot of people are like, "Oh man, the eclipse. That's the real traumatizing." Dude, you have not read the Lost Children arc. That
I've read
fucked
everything.
me.
No,
That
no,
fucked me.
like Berserk is like I don't even know how to.
And I and
Berserk
I
is probably one of my favorite stories
and,
of all time.
and even worse, I read that arc before I went to bed one night, and I was just like,
Oh.
"What the fuck was I thinking?" So bad. I was like, "Well, I'm traumatized for life. Thanks, Berserk." And then I'm like, "Okay, I got to put this down. I need to chill for a moment."
My only fear is that like the quality of the story will decline with Kentaro's going. Like time will tell and everything, but like damn, like I feel like it's so sad. I feel like it's so sad that like he never got to finish his story.
Yeah,
I
no,
feel
but
like that's the worst thing. Like that like when that happen, like when a writer dies and their story doesn't finish, it's like especially when their story is like really good, like that good, like it haunts me. That's one of the things that pushes me as a writer the best. Like you mean this story I've had in my head since I was 11, like I'll never get to tell it. Like nah, like it gives me some
yeah, I
kind of
mean,
urgency.
it's yeah, no, but I like Berserk. I mean, I don't know if I like it as much as Naoki Urasawa stuff or Death Note, but I like it a lot. I think the art style is very well done. I think the storytelling. I mean, I will admit, I kind of wished I had started with the Golden Age because that's kind of the real start of the story. But oh well, it
Yeah,
is what it is.
yeah. So like, where did you start?
Oh, well, I started from the beginning. Yeah, from Black Swordman arc, and I've
Oh,
gone
okay,
up.
and it went. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Well,
But
like
like the thing is, like Black Swordman arc almost feels like a proof of concept.
yes, you can see that at that point he's still like kind of working out how he wants to tell the story. Like
Mhm.
and like the Golden Age arc is more feels felt like an explanation for like Guts' character in the Black Swordsman arc. So like the way the sequence of how things happen, it kinds of works for me. But I would say like it was after the eclipse that I got fully invested.
Mhm.
Like it
Yeah.
broke it like that thing it broke. And the thing was is that I've been reading Berserk since I was like I don't know, since I was like 9, 8.
Oh my
So
god.
it's like yeah, well that's why I'm so twisted right now. But it's like
Wow, that's
I've been reading it
crazy.
for so long. So imagine like being like I don't know 8 years old and like you're reading the Eclipse like the full thing.
That
You
must have
know,
been gutting when you learned that Miura passed away.
it was so gutting. It was so like I felt so bad. Like it really it messed me up for a while. But I started reading that story so young, and like just imagine having that on. Imagine reading the Lost Children arc when you're a child, like when you're a kid,
I read
But
it.
like
I read it
I
earlier
couldn't
this year, and it was really disturbed. So, oh god, I meant.
like at that point I still couldn't get enough of the story. So like right now it's kind of like yeah, it's kind of like really deeply entrenched into me.
Yeah, I mean, there are some of the things like some of the like English dub is kind of weird, but aside from that, I like Berserk. Like, just the part when like Griffith and like Guts first meet, and it's kind of unintentionally homoerotic. He's like, "Oh, what do you?" He's like, "What do you want, Griffith? Do you want my ass? Well, I'll give it to you." And we were like, "Okay." I don't think it meant to come out that way.
Yeah. So the thing about like there's a whole subreddit with like the hundreds of thousands of people that like go with that idea of like like homoerotic like
Oh
relationship
yeah.
between gods. So it's just like a whole thing by itself. And I feel like that's one of the characteristics of like a good story, when like you can take it in you can take an aspect of it and just like go on a tangent, like, and pick out stuff from different aspects of the story to validate that tangent, even if it's not actually canon. But it's just like it's opened up your imagination into
Yeah,
so
sure,
much more.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, I mean that's. I mean, I don't want to get into that, but it's fine. I enjoy. I enjoy a lot of. I enjoy a lot of Berserk. Oh,
Oh
slowly
my
read.
God, you've read, like if slowly read, if you're down, like we can do like a full discussion. We could do like a full discussion about it, like 100%. I would love to discuss. Like, I would actually love to know what your thoughts are on like the series, on like the characters, on Griffith, on Guts, and everything. I feel like you'd be able to do it justice in terms of how epic it is as a story. And yeah, like your thoughts would be very interesting. But like Berserk, I've been reading it since I was 8. It's one of the reasons I'm as twisted as I am, and I have no regrets. I wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah.
I mean, Berserk was one of those I had always heard about, and like I had read the like first volume a while back, and I was like, oh, okay, And then I read it again, and I was like, okay. And that's why I think it would be better to start at the Golden Age, because like if you read the Black Swordsman like without context, it just kind of seems like kind of edge lordy, and you're just like, but then you read it, and you're like, oh, okay. And generally, I don't like the whole wait till the second book type of people, but that's why I'm like, maybe go with the Golden Arc first, because that's where the story like really starts, and then go back to Black Swordsman, and then kind of just go from there.
But then I feel like the writing in the Black Swordsman arc is not as good as it is in the Golden Age. Like from like a writer's perspective, like reading it and watching Muriel's evolution as a writer, as a storyteller, is also
Mhm.
like part of the experience.
Yeah,
Because
I mean, I will say like from like volume 3, the storytelling is a lot better. Like the
yeah,
characterization a lot better, and is that the Slug Man? I forget his name. That Bishop.
the
Um,
one the one with the daughter.
Yeah, the one with the daughter, yeah.
Yeah,
And
okay.
I thought that was really well done. I'm like, okay, yeah, all right, I can go down with this.
Yeah.
And then we get the Golden Age, because I do think it's funny. Because Femto looks like a superhero.
But yeah, like in general, he's like the savior, presents himself as like the savior. I love what Berserk does with like how it shows like how like perspective in terms of, well, this guy looks like a good guy but he's not, this guy looks like a bad guy but he's not. It's like you'd have to actually, if you were watching the story, like if you saw like a picture of Griffith and you saw a picture of Guts and you were like, ask someone who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, you'd think Griffith was the main character, you think Guts was the bad guy. But like when you get really into the story, like there's so many layers to both of them, and you'd
Mhm.
have to really go through the story to really like appreciate how much of how epic each of their characters are, and like
Yeah.
the relationship dynamic that I feel like is so well done as well.
Yeah, Griffith is he's interesting. there's
Very interesting.
there's a
Very
lot of
interesting.
like blanks there that I'm not entirely like, did he really kind of value guts, or was it just a manipulation the whole time? Was it a mixture of both? It's kind of.
I don't think it was a manipulation the whole time. I
Yeah, I
feel
don't think
like
so either. I think
I,
there were
I
moments that I think.
I think he had a lot of conflict within himself, and I think that where he was as of the time of the eclipse, it was like what really were his options, you know. Like I do not go I don't think he should have, like, I don't want to spoil anything, but I feel like it's not as, I feel like thinking that he was a manipulation the whole time is a cop out, to be honest. It's a cop
Yeah.
out from really, like, because, like, remember when he was having the discussion with the princess, and he
Hmm.
said a real friend is someone who, like, can, stand on their own ideals even if they are different from mine. But basically talking about like how he needs, for him to see someone as a real friend, they have to be on the same pedestal with him, even if they disagree,
Hmm.
have their own separate ambition. And Guts was listening the whole time,
Hmm.
and then a little bit of, because Guts at the time was questioning what he meant to Griffith. And I'm sure he had his own ideas of how he wanted his relation. But I don't want to get in, sorry, excuse me, I don't want to get into this, like, I don't want to get into it too deep because I don't want to spoil anything, but
Fair enough.
it's
Yeah.
definitely like very, very multifaceted.
Yeah. No, it's Yeah, but I haven't read like, there's a couple of manga I want to read. Like there's one called Green Blood, which is like a western. I want to read that.
I
Looks really
haven't read that. Like, I've read so much manga. I've read so much manga that, like, sometimes you would ask me if I know a manga and I'll say no from the name, but then when you start describing the story, I'm like, oh yeah, I read that, like, and I can tell you about, like, I've read so much manga they just blur into each other now.
good. So did you read Pluto from Naoki Urasawa?
Yes, I've
The
read that, but I read that a while back. I read that a while back. I've read all, like, mostly all of Jinjo Ito. I've read like, of course, the popular ones, One Piece. It's funny how everyone now is a One Piece fan, but like, I've been on that journey. You read Berserk and then you read One Piece before you go to bed. But well, One Piece is also messed up as well. But, like, the art style kind of makes it a bit lighter. You
Yeah, I
know.
enjoy well, I haven't read One Piece because I don't know, it might be a little too goofy for me, but I might read it someday.
No, 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 no. Like, it's the art. The only thing goofy about it is the art.
Yeah,
The
like
only thing
I'll see
goofy
like
about it is the
Luffy
art.
and he looks like his mouth will like come off and start attacking people. I don't know, but that's just weird.
Okay, from a purely story perspective, like, I dig more of like Berserk Kentamura art type style, but from a storytelling perspective, just storytelling, One Piece is a masterpiece.
Oh, maybe I'll read it someday. But the thing about like manga is like there's some of them I'm like, dude, some of these are so old. Like they could have their own little One Piece kids.
So, and you know the thing,
And Berserk.
the older mangas are the best. No, I'm serious.
No, 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 no. I
The older mangas are the best. Like, there was, I feel like, so now there's more of a, how quickly can you get the attention of the reader, and how much, how for how long can you keep it. So I feel like now when you start something, there's this, like, modern manga creators are like, they don't do much of a build up. They don't do much plotting. There's more of like an instant gratification type of thing. But like the older, like, mangas, I feel like the mangakas had a lot more time to develop their stories. Like, of
mm-hmm.
course, even then there was the trend of how the stories would go. There was like a popular theme that all the stories followed. But if you read like Vampire Hunter, or you read like what they call it, god damn it, the one with Alucard, Um,
Is that Vampire Hunter D?
the Vampire Hunter D is one, but there was one with Alucard.
I don't know
Um,
that one.
Alucard, that's like the vampire, like son of Dracula. Helsing, Helsing, Helsing. Yes, 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 yes. Lorette saved me there. You read like Helsing. You read like all the older ones. They have like um, more build up, more like more to it, more substance, more depth to it. So yeah, yeah, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I really liked Urasawa's stuff, like Monster. Oh,
Oh, Monster is one of my favorite. Oh my god, like
yeah, Monster is one of those things
Johan.
I've gone harassing people to go read it now because like I read it last year during like 4th of July. It was actually like end of June, like 4th of July when I read it all, and I was like, man, this is great.
Yeah, like Johan is one of the most. He's one of the most crazy. Like I love his characterization so much. The dude was so evil. Oh my god! Like you need slowly read. You should read Monster. It's
Yeah,
not.
you did a version of the little monster story,
Yeah, yeah. The little monster story. Yeah, like
or what is
I want to redo it. I want to redo it. Like
or
if
what is it called? It's like
the
the monster inside me. It's like
yes, yes, Johan, and I know the one you're talking about. I know the one you're talking about,
it's
but
the children's
the
story.
children's story, the one where like one went to the east, the other went to the west, and then the
Yeah.
one that went to the east went to a prince that was sick, and
Uh,
like such a like, but that story was just to like encapsulate how evil, how evil he was,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, I mean, it seems Mark hasn't read it, so I don't want to spoil it because Monster's one of those like you gotta read it. It's
You
really,
have to read it. Like I feel like he would love it as well. I feel like he would love it as well. The character is
but yeah, no,
just
but yeah, I really like his like like all of his people look like people you could meet. I love his
mm-hmm,
designs. I wish it was in
mm-hmm.
color though. I really do. It is a little bit in Pluto,
Well,
but I know it's
there's a
cheaper to do it in black and white, but man.
but there's an anime as well. Like
There
I
is an anime that just came out. I did see it. It was
oh,
fantastic.
that just came out. I
Yeah.
haven't seen like oh wow okay. The anime I'm talking about was made like in the 90s I think or like
Wait,
early
are you talking about
2000s.
Monster or Pluto?
Monster.
Oh yeah, yeah. I saw that. It was on YouTube. It is on Netflix, but the English version is not. And the dubbing
Yeah,
wasn't actually that bad because
yeah.
anime dub can be not great at times.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you're a sub guy as well, right? Yeah, like I feel like I don't know, man. I started with Dragon Ball Z, and like the sub was just like the shit at the time. So like
Well, to be fair, Dragon Ball's meant to be a little over the top. Like,
yeah,
I
but
don't take it
like
too personally.
you know, like back in the day, it's what like you and your friend would be talking about during break in school, and you'd be talking about during class, and the teacher would like tell you to like shut up, but like you keep talking about it, passing notes. Oh, did you see Goku's new transformation? It's a class. It's like somewhere deep in my heart, like where Lord of the Rings and all the legendary stuff is. But yeah,
Yeah, I love Yeah, maybe maybe I'll add more manga to read for next year because
yeah.
kind of
I just love like the my favorite thing why I love reading manga, especially after I've read like a bunch of Western novels, is that the type of storytelling is different. The ideas are like completely different because they're coming from like a different culture, and it's like the themes and like what they like to explore is different. So it gives me like a different like a different aspect to appreciate. You know,
hmm
but yeah, but yeah. So yeah, like we've had a discussion, like it's almost like an hour and 30 minutes. Like I've loved having you here so much. And yeah, definitely we should do this again. Like, um
yeah. Maybe we can have Mirror's Truth discussion on your channel.
mirrors truth discussion. Like I really want to talk to someone that has read book one and book two because there's a difference. that I feel like I there's a difference between book one and book two that I want to talk about, and I want to know what someone thinks about like so much, and I want to, but like I would really love to have that discussion with you. I think Dan has finished reading Mirror's Truth as well, so
Oh, really? Wow.
yeah. At the time we
Well,
are doing the
like,
Beyond Redemption like discussion, he was
well,
reading Mirror's
sir,
Truth.
you're leaving me with no choice. I'm gonna have to pick up Mirror's Truth next year.
Yeah, like and then we can have like a full discussion, and book three is out as well, so like
Yeah,
might as well
apparently he
just
wrote
add
it
that
with
up.
someone else, and I'm like, but I've heard it's pretty good.
So Mark said that like he was concerned that someone else wrote the book with him,
He
but
says,
like
"Do
he exactly, he says do it, so like 100% I have to do it. But I'm a bit concerned as well, but that made me feel a little bit better about it. Um, Michael Fletcher sent me like an advanced reader copy, but like I haven't read it yet.
Oh
But
wow,
I will read it. I will read it. I think the book is out now already, so it doesn't really matter.
yeah,
But
that would be fun. Like for like if we did like all three books, and then we got like Michael Fletcher on. That would be fun.
yeah, I
You're
could
like,
ask him. I
you're
could
like,
ask
hey,
him.
why'd you do all this stuff? You know, you can just poke him.
I don't think he would be able to explain it. But like
Wait,
yeah. Sorry.
I am glad that Mark's back, and he's grown like an epic beard since then.
Yeah,
I do
yeah,
miss the mustache.
and something like I've been on Reddit, like on different like subreddits where people are just like, yo, have you heard from Slowly Read? Like, what's happening? Like, him coming back is such a good thing. It's such a good thing for the book community because it's like
Christmas came early.
there's
That's all I
so
gotta
it's
say.
I know like there are so many booktubers that have been inspired by him. There are so many like I know like his book reviews are like very highly regarded, his opinions. Like, yo, we're glad to have you back. Like everyone is excited, and whatever direction you decide to take your channel, like I'll be watching because I love
He
your
does some good
personality.
like
I
Beyond
love your
Redemption tattoo art, because he says he's a tattoo artist. So
I should get a Beyond Redemption tattoo, just on my chest, or something, but like, yeah, like, it's good to have you back. Like BookTube is much, much richer because you're back. So, yeah, like I was
I kept trying
saying,
to get him on my podcast, and he was like, "Oh, I'm busy." So maybe 2024 we can finally get something set up. That'd be
yeah,
great.
yeah, like he's always on something, so like, his time is very precious. And yeah, dark fantasy tattoos all the way. Let's go. Like I'm 100% down for that. So we should do this again next year, and I look forward to the videos you're going to release before the year is over. And yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Though I will say, my own video where I'll make the list of my 2023 best reads is probably gonna be out in 2024. So yeah, because
Yeah.
there's one more review I wanted to sneak into 2023. So for
Okay.
December. So I'm looking forward to it. But thanks for having me on though. This was a lot of
Yeah.
fun.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and
And,
many more in the future.
and of course, Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Merry Christmas.
I
Happy
don't
New
know.
Year to everyone.
I don't know if you celebrate, but Merry Christmas.
I celebrate. I celebrate. And
I
everyone
feel
stay
better too.
epic. Everyone stay epic, and peace.